Hello everyone, I'm Jim Majori, and welcome to the spring edition of Atlantic Ave. Hi everyone, and welcome back to the spring edition of Atlantic Ave. We have as our guest today Nancy Jane Luff, who is the co-chair of the 275th Town of Northampton Anniversary Committee. Welcome, Nancy Jane.
Thank you, Jim. Thanks for having us.
Oh, it's an absolute pleasure. So we're here to talk about the kickoff activities for the kickoff event for the 275th anniversary. And we're excited to hear about everything that's going to be happening, especially, I think it's the parade coming up on Memorial Day?
Yes. Jim, we're kicking off the 275th celebration season with our events on Memorial Day. We're going to have our traditional Northampton Memorial Day parade, but we're adding some extra features. Both the marching bands will be here from the middle school, the Northampton School, as well as the Winnicott High School. We're also going to be hosting the New Hampshire Fife and Drum Corps this year, so an extra band in the mix. We will have a fleet of antique cars, residents that want to participate in the parade that will be bringing their unique and antique cars. We also have a team of Belgian draft horses with a wagon, a historic wagon from Runnymede Farm that will be joining us. One of the other exciting things, I think, will be that children that are able to ride their bicycles can decorate them in patriotic garb, red, white, and blue, and they also will have a chance to maybe ride their bikes in the parade, as well as Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts will also be marching, and maybe some sports teams I've heard about, baseball teams.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
Now, the parade for Memorial Day typically starts at about Citizens Bank
Yes.
there in Northampton, and then proceeds over to the town clerk tax collector's office.
Yes.
Are there going to be, now we have our normal special events for Memorial Day honoring those who have served in all of the wars.
Right.
What other special events, particular to the 275th anniversary, will be happening right there at the town clerk tax collector's office?
Well, as you mentioned, the parade starts at Citizens Bank at 10 o'clock in the morning. Anyone who wants to participate will be gathering at 9:30 to do the march. When we arrive here at the town campus, there will be the traditional Memorial Day ceremony. There'll be music, and then the ceremony put on by the Commander Bennett and the group from the American Legion. And then after that, we have some other unique activities planned.
Mm-hmm. And we've had, because of the generosity of so many people in town, individuals, residents, businesses, and a matter of fact, I think one of our residents in town designed the banner that we see here, the
Yes.
shirt that you're wearing, and the
Yes.
pins. So because of all of that generosity, we're able to put on these events like are we going to be eating?
Well, there's going to be a barbecue that Vicky's going to have a chance to tell you about. We have been so fortunate, many people have come forward, both businesses and private resident donors. They have contributed their time. Cindy Burke, who has a background in marketing and design, did the logo for the 275th. We have Northampton 275 t-shirts that are available for sale, $10. If you haven't bought yours yet, you might want to get one. They're at the clerk's office, the town clerk's office, as well as the town administrative offices.
That's fantastic.
We'll have shirts available on Memorial Day, but you might want to get yours ahead of time, Jim, because I know you'd like to show your town spirit.
Absolutely. Now, when the Belgian draft horses, that sounds like a big animal.
Yes.
It's going to be, how many of those do we have coming through town?
Well,
that's going to be exciting.
There are two, it's a team.
Okay.
And a large wagon, and they, Historic Runnymede Farm brought these horses, I think a couple years ago.
Okay.
And they're very well trained and used to, a lot of action. But I think that will be a highlight, along with the Fife and Drum Band and our own Northampton School Band, and the Winnicott bands are really unique.
Now, we're talking specifically about the kickoff event, the parade. The actual anniversary for Northampton, though, happens in November. Now, we'll be bringing on Vicki Jones, who is the co-chair, also with you to talk about events later on in the year. But we plan on having a lot of activities on that day that we'll be talking about. Having so many people involved in this event, is it rain or shine? Are we going no matter what happens on Memorial Day?
I think Memorial Day will be rain or shine, but you know it's not going to rain.
I know.
It will be a perfect day.
Right.
I'm sure there are some issues with the weather that we'll make accommodations when it gets a little closer. And I know that our Northampton Fire Department has generously offered the bays. They can move the trucks out should we need to host the ceremony indoors or undercover. So I think that happened last year.
It did.
So we're very fortunate to have that space as a backup.
Okay, but we're not going to have to worry about that. It's going to be a beautiful day, a beautiful event. The dunk tank for select board members we're not having that this year?
Not this. We don't feel that it's appropriate probably with the Memorial Day ceremony. So you won't be dunked at this point, but maybe in October when we have the celebratory weekend, who knows, we might kind of wheel it out.
You've offered me the great opportunity now to wrap up this time with you and I, and to bring, after our break, Vicki Jones on to talk about some of the other events. So I want to thank you so much for coming in and sharing this with everybody in Northampton. Again, remind them the date and the time of the parade, if you will.
It's Monday, May 29th, and the parade begins at 10 o'clock. The ceremony will follow immediately after the parade. And then from 11 to 2, Vicki Jones can tell you about our exciting historical display and townwide barbecue.
Super. Right. Nancy Jane, thank you so much.
Thanks, Jim.
We'll be right back to hear more about the 275th anniversary celebration events right after this break. Welcome back, everyone. Joining us now is the co-chair of the 275th Anniversary Celebration Committee for Northampton, Vicki Jones. Vicki, welcome.
Thank you, Jim. We appreciate you letting us talk about our celebration. We're very excited.
Clearly very excited. It's a great opportunity to celebrate Northampton. We heard from your other co-host, Nancy Jane Luff, about the parade, the kickoff parade. And after the kickoff parade, we're going to have a barbecue. I'm hoping you can share some of the facts and details about the barbecue that we're going to have.
We're very excited because we think it'll be a great opportunity because everyone will already be here for the ceremony, so we're hoping they'll stay. And we're so fortunate. Everything's been donated for the barbecue. We basically have been supported by the New Hampshire Business Association. New Hampshire loves us too. The Northampton Business Association, Shaw's, also Joe's Meat Shop, and then lots of private donors, so that we're able to offer the barbecue as a complimentary activity, which makes us really happy.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Who's going to be cooking at the barbecue?
So I think some select board members may be cooking at the barbecue.
Who?
I think someone who's sitting next to me possibly. Okay. And then it's that or the dunk tank. I think you ought to go for the cooking.
I'm not sure.
But we also have volunteers from the Business Association who are going to be cooking.
Great.
And we also, I think some of the town employees have been interested in cooking. So we're so excited. So we're going to have hamburgers and hot dogs and chips, the usual fun, and then possibly a treat of some sort, ice cream of some sort, something like that.
I like it.
That sounds good to me. And we're just happy that we'll be able to be informal. People can wander around. And I think it'll be a nice opportunity for us all to just chat, get together, talk about what's going on.
So as people then they've enjoyed the parade again. It's the Memorial Day parade, so we're honoring all the people who have served in all the wars. But people will have the opportunity then to enjoy each other and enjoy the barbecue.
Right.
What happens then after the barbecue? What events do you have planned?
Well, we hope to open the historic buildings in town. So the Stone Building will be open. The library's going to be open, and the library may do some exhibits. And then we also hope we'll have the town hall open. And this to us is the key part, because we really want to focus from a historical society perspective on the history of Northampton and our participation in the wars.
Okay.
So we were founded in 1742, and we have a lot of muster records where we have lists of people who had enlisted, how much they were paid for
wow.
each of the conflicts, which is really, it's just interesting to see. I mean, you can get caught up in the fact that it's something from 1780, but you can also, the history of it and why they did. And then we also have some uniforms. Some historic uniforms. We have some wonderful things from some women who were in the service during World War II. So we have some great wave outfits and things like that, which we think are really interesting. So we're excited about that. And so our focus is much more on the military part of Northampton's participation and also any patriotic themes. So we also have found some interesting cards, postcards, things that people used to say from Memorial Day, where all these interesting pictures of women in 1890 wrapped in the American flag and little postcards and things that are really fascinating and kind of fun.
Wow.
Right? So we think it'll be interesting.
And most of that, the exhibit pieces will be in this building, the town
Yes.
hall?
The majority of the exhibit will be in this building, and we hope to open it at 11. So as people are deciding when they'd like to eat, they can wander in here as well.
Okay.
So this will be open till 2 o'clock.
Okay.
So we think it'll really be fun to see everything. And then we've also been very fortunate during the bicentennial of the United States in 1975, or 76, I can make it earlier if we want, a bunch of townspeople made a quilt that Dr. Kelleher now has. And so we're going to have the quilt displayed, which I think will be really interesting to see all the different squares and who made what and what was their focus and why they chose their square, which is neat.
Oh, wow.
I think it'll be fun.
It will be fun.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. And then we also have some interesting photographs of different people in military outfits and the parades over the years. So we think, we're trying to put an exhibit together that we think will give people a good sense of Northampton's history and how involved we were. So in 1777, Northampton had a large contingent at the Battle of Saratoga. Okay. And there's a famous painting of us at the Battle of Bemis Heights, which is in the town offices,
right.
which we will bring down. So we have some nice stuff like that.
Great. So we will have the parade. We will have the ceremony honoring all the veterans. We'll have the barbecue. The town hall, the stone building, and the library will be open. Are there other events or activities that that folks can enjoy?
No, I think, well, that's about it from our perspective and the joy of just walking around and seeing everything. And then we just think what we're really hoping for is that we'll get some people in here to get a sense of how the town really was, but also have the opportunity, why they're already here, because the barbecue will be over by the fire station, to go over and be in the fire bays, to see the firemen, to see the policemen, just the fun of that as well.
Right.
So all those activities, I think it'll be good.
Good. Now, we're going to wrap up here, but I don't want to wrap up without saying that the 275th anniversary for Northampton actually occurs later on in the year. So you do have, and it may be a segue into another edition of Atlantic Ave, and maybe we'll be able to have you and Nancy Jane back.
Yes.
There'll be activities in the fall.
Yes.
But don't get into them too much.
I can't. Oh, we don't want to give anything away.
Don't give anything away.
The actual date that Northampton escaped from Hampton was November 30th, 1742.
Okay.
So what we hope to do is in the fall have those celebrations, and we'll have some things like we'll have a trolley tour.
Oh, don't give it away.
I'm not giving much.
Okay.
I'm
Just
telling you
tease.
where.
Tease.
Only you get to ride a trolley.
Okay.
Yeah, so you get to ride a trolley. And Centennial Hall will be open, and we hope to have some sort of surprising places that we can visit.
Wonderful.
So I think it'll be really nice.
Vicki, thank you so much for
Thank
sharing
you.
all the events that are going to be happening on Memorial Day. We appreciate the fact that you're
Thank you.
coming in, and we look forward to seeing you again soon.
Oh, well, thank you so much. This has been fun to share.
Great. We'll be back right after these community notes. Welcome back, everyone. Joining me now is Police Officer Asa Johnson. Asa, thank you so much for joining us
Thank
here.
you for having me this morning, Jim.
Sure. So a few weeks ago, a couple of months ago now, we had the first annual, hopefully, police fire charity basketball game at Northampton School.
Yes, we did.
You participated.
I did.
It was a great time.
It was.
Just hoping, we can talk about a lot of specifics, but just wanted to get your take on what was a great community event.
It was. It was. It was a great chance for us to get together. There's always that police-fireman rivalry. It's kind of a friendly rivalry that we have.
Right.
And we're always teasing each other and stuff, but it was good for us to get out there and really have a good time together and show people, hey, we work together. Not only do we work together for the town, but we're also, you know, one big family that we can get together and do stuff when we're not working as well.
You know, you say one big family, and the residents of Northampton showed up in just droves. It was standing room only. There isn't a whole lot of sitting room there on the bleachers, but the bleachers were full. There were people standing around the entire court underneath the baskets. Hopefully when we do it again, you'll have that much. Was that a lot of pressure for you guys, knowing that you had so many eyes watching?
I think it was, and what added to the pressure was that we had a snowstorm that moved it out about a month.
Yeah.
So
sure.
we were ready to go for the February date, but unfortunately we had a snowstorm, so we erred on the side of caution and moved it out. So yeah, it was a little bit of pressure, but you know, once we got going and everyone got winded, you kind of forgot about the crowd, and you know, you were hoping that it just ended because you were, you know, you were the commentator. You were saying, "Oh, I don't think anyone's tired yet," but on the inside, I think we were all hurting a little bit. So.
Oh, you guys look great out there.
Well, thank you.
You know, it was a defensive struggle in the beginning.
Yes.
You know, defensive struggle. The points weren't really raining down, but you guys, I think, found your groove. A lot of rebounding.
Yes, it was a very physical game.
Very physical
Very
game.
physical.
I thought at some point I was going to see the oxygen coming out. I heard a threat of that from the fire department, that they thought you guys might need a little bit of oxygen, but no need?
No, apparently not. So I think we've all recovered since that night. So we survived. So hopefully we'll do it again next year.
And on a serious note, then, that event was designed not only for the community spirit, which is primary, but all donations that we received, all donations that came in, went to the school trips for the town. So that's wonderful for the town of Northampton to come out like that. I'd like to change gears, if I can, just a little bit, and it's probably a bad pun to use, but we're in the spring edition of Atlantic Ave right now. We're coming into the busy season, if you will, for the town, meaning traffic.
Correct.
As residents will know, you'll see the speed signs. Is that the right term to use for those?
That's what I would call them,
Okay.
yes.
So we have the speed signs in different places in town to monitor speed. It's a great indication, I guess. Maybe you can talk about that a little bit. When you see that the speed is 30 and suddenly you're doing in excess of that, there's maybe a mental check that you slow down. I'm just wondering if you can talk about the speed control, the traffic control that you hope that those will assist us with.
Sure. Well, they're strategically placed around town for, you know, certain spots to hopefully get people to slow down. With the summer months coming comes a huge influx in traffic, whether people coming to Northampton or coming through Northampton. We have a large increase of the people that come through town in general. So one of those problems that come with that is people that speed. So the signs are designed to tell you your speed. They flash at a certain speed, what your speed is, and they'll even have a strobe light on them as well to try and get your attention to slow down. Right. So what we can do with our laptops that are in the cruisers is we can drive up to those and remotely connect, and we can pull the data off of those to see what the average speed is, what the highest speed was, and what spots we might need to get out there and enforce speed even more throughout the town.
That's fantastic, because I know that the town, and I'll say that in general, but specific to the police department, hears quite often that speeding, I would say that's probably a primary issue that people bring up.
Yes, we do get complaints. We get requests for directed patrols, which is where we target enforcement in that area. So in response to that, we've gotten those speed signs, and we've gotten I believe it's 2 new radar trailers as well, which are similar in style to the speed signs, except they're mobile. So we have a total of 3 radar trailers now. We can put them anywhere around town as long as there's room off the shoulder, and it'll do the same thing. We can put what the speed limit is, and it will tell people what their speed is as they approach the sign.
So this might be a good opportunity then to inform folks and this happens as a selectman, I'm sure it happens every day in the police department. Somebody comes in and says, the speeding on road, whatever it is terrible. What can you do about it? Now you have directed patrols, is that what I heard?
That's
what does that
they're
mean?
called. That means that we specifically go to an area to enforce whatever the person requests.
Okay.
So I'm trying to think, if someone complains that people are running the stop sign, C Road at Ocean Boulevard, we could conduct a directed patrol where we sit down there for 15, 20 minutes or more and specifically watch that intersection to make sure people are stopping at that stop sign. If people are complaining about speed on Woodland Road or Mill Road or Atlantic Ave, anywhere else in town, we can go out there and we can either drive up and down the road using mobile radar in our cruisers, or we can park somewhere and kind of try and find a hiding spot to stop people for speeding as well.
But now with now with the 3 trailers that we have and the 2 signs that we have, the stationary signs, plus the patrols, we have greatly expanded the opportunity to have some traffic control in town.
Absolutely. With our busy season coming, we won't always be able to go do those directed patrols for extended periods of time. So at least we can put a trailer out there and let people know that, hey, we're out here, not only us in our cruisers, but we have this equipment that can help us as well.
Right, that's great. So as you go up, as you go up to the speed sign and you download that data, that's a trove of information.
Correct.
I assume, is that video also, or is that is just data that you're getting? X number of cars, this is the speed, this is...
Yes, I think it's just it pulls the numbers for us as far as the average speed, maybe how many cars go by even. I'd have to look at the sheet to see exactly what it gives us, but I know we can drive up and remotely access that with our laptops, so it'll help us in deciding where we need to enforce the speed more.
Wonderful. Asa, I want to thank you so much. Excuse me, Officer Johnson, I want to thank you so much. I feel from the basketball game, since we were announcing, I had the whole cheat sheet of nicknames. I was afraid to do that because you guys have handcuffs and could throw me in the back of the car.
That's okay.
I want to thank you so much, not only for coming in and sharing this information about speed and traffic control with the residents, but also for being part of what was a great community event with the basketball game. We hope to be able to do that again next year. I know you have to get off and keep us safe, so I want to thank you so much for coming in, and thank you for your
having
service.
me.
Certainly. We'll be back after these community notes. Welcome back, everyone. We have now with us Mr. Henry Marsh, a lifelong resident of Northampton. And as I thought about the different titles that you have earned, have had thrust upon you, I thought, my goodness, we would need this entire banner right here. So it's a sincere pleasure to have you joining us, Henry.
Well, thank you for the invite.
Sure. I say one of the accolades, you were just inducted into the Wrestling Hall of Fame. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Quite an honor. Can you tell us a little bit about the wrestling history that you have?
Well, I started competing at Winnicott, and had an athletic scholarship to Appalachian State. From there, competed for the United States, and instead of coaching, I went into refereeing and refereed all over the country, and have been one of the top 20 officials in the country for several years. And then I was asked to, in my retirement, to coach at the University of New Hampshire, and that's where I am presently.
Wow. How many years have you been at UNH?
This is my 12th year.
12th
We
year.
had 7 All-Americans, 3 national champions, and 14 academic All-Americans at the university.
You must be very proud.
On no scholarships, so
No scholarship?
no scholarships.
Wow, I did not know that.
Great.
That's fantastic.
Kids do great. It's a great school.
Yeah, you talk, well, I don't know how you could have given a better segue when you say great school. One of your responsibilities, one of the tasks that you have volunteered for is to be on the board of Winnicott and the SAU. You've also served on the school board here in town. But tell us a little bit about the award that Winnicott has won.
Well, just the other day, and we didn't know until late in the afternoon prior to the ceremony, but Winnicott has been chosen as the top high school in the state. It's called the Eddies Award, and the presentation was a couple days ago, and no one knew about it. The students didn't know, and had an assembly in the gym, and the kids were sort of, as I was walking in with them, were moaning about, oh no, not another assembly, and then it was awarded to Winnicott as the high school of the state, and the uproar came out of the crowd, and the kids were ecstatic because it's their award. It's not the school. I say not the school, but it is not. It's geared more to the kids. They had to do a number of things to outline to the state that what we were doing at Winnicott. And the students did a great job. One was a big, it was probably a 15, 18-minute video of what the school is and what it means to the students and all the activities that we have at Winnicott. One of them is the educational opportunities. We've got a night school, and we just heard the other night that we have 35 students in the night school that will be graduating in another 3 weeks. Wow. And I had spoken before that our dropout rate is under 1% at Winnicott.
Amazing.
And again, it's a testament to Bill McGowan, who was the principal, and to the superintendent and the school board. The school board that we have encompasses all the communities, as well as Hampton. Hampton does have representation, even though they're in another SAU on the board at Winnicott, because it is a cooperative. But Winnicott is so recognized all over the state, not just from athletics, and now it's in the level of academics. 85% of the students at Winnicott go on to further education, so it's we foster that at the high school. And our board is, school board does not micromanage the principals and administration. That's their job, and we're there to support and as well direct, but it's their job on a day-to-day basis. It's not the school board.
So the school board, like with any, the select board in town, in any town, serves as the executive board, if you will, basically administering policy, and stop me at any point where I'm wrong. And then you have the principals of each school who then manage the day-to-day affairs. Correct. So it's a great testament then to Winnicott and all, the entire SAU, as I'm sure they cooperate, but to Winnicott, to the staff there, which my daughter graduated from Winnicott. I'm not even sure how big the staff is there, but I know that they help in every way that they can.
You know, it's not uncommon to see staff members staying after school with students, and that's not in a disciplinary, but to helping the students. And again, I brought up about the night school. It's quite a program, and can I say this gingerly? That we've had a grandmother that said that she would come back. She did not graduate, but would go back to night school with her granddaughter so that the granddaughter and she could graduate together.
Wow.
So we have we encompass
Yeah.
a lot of interests of the people in the community.
The Eddie's Award, I just want to go back for a quick
Sure.
second. Is there a banner? Because if anybody has been to Winnicott or any high school, it doesn't matter, when you walk into the gym, there's always a string of banners for all of the awards that they
Right.
have won. Is there a banner for the Eddies?
There is a banner, and it's on the front page of the Hampton Union this morning.
Oh, it's this morning?
Right.
Great.
So and we also received a bell as as one of the awards, I guess, for the Eddie. The Eddies is there's only one high school in the state that is awarded this, and it's sort of a competition, but it's not a competition. That's what you do,
Right.
and also that we've also recently been evaluated by the New England Schools and Colleges, and Winnicott is approved without reservation as an accredited school. As your daughter going to Winnicott, applying to colleges, there is the respect for Winnicott, and that's a real testament to the teachers and the school.
That is, and one thing that I think of, it goes back to some of the other conversations that we've had, some of the other guests, is that I got an appreciation for how much the alumni of Winnicott respect the school when you sit through the scholarship night.
Right.
And you don't really have an appreciation through that common application that kids fill out of what the opportunities are until you see how many individuals from the community, and the community is much larger than just the town itself, give back to the school.
Right.
A wonderful, wonderful testament.
You may have the number, I don't have the number right offhand, but we're looking at probably $350,000 in scholarships or more.
Amazing.
I think that's, and also the component that we have with the ROTC, there's just so many options at Winnicott. They have their own TV station, radio station, and so there's many, many opportunities. And I had mentioned the ELOs, the educational opportunities, kids working out in the community. And I just went to the art show the other evening, and that was unbelievable.
It is,
What the kids are producing. So,
Henry, you also serve as our representative here in Northampton, up in Concord. So what we'd like to do is go to some community notes and then talk about some of the activities and events, not events, but what's happening up in Concord. So
Sure.
We're going to break for some community notes and come back in just a moment. Welcome back, everyone. With us is now, I'll say, Representative Henry Marsh. Henry, I should congratulate you. You were elected to represent Northampton at the state level up in Concord, so congratulations.
well, thank you, sir.
And you have obviously a lot of responsibilities. The bill's going through the House right now, the bill going through Concord, excuse me, right now. Numerous. I've heard so many people say that they've never seen this much legislation being passed. But I'd like to kind of take a step back. I think when we were all younger, we saw those animated shows on how a bill becomes a law.
Sure.
At the federal level. So I'm kind of curious, what's a day in a state representative's, or maybe it's better to say, what is the week of a state representative like?
Initially, Tuesday, Wednesday are your committee days.
Okay.
And upon, after the election, you're assigned a committee.
Okay.
And with that, the committee that I'm on it's ED&A, that's Executive Departments and Administration. Okay. So we deal with the department heads when bills come through.
Okay.
And the the next step to the committee. The committee will go into what is called an executive session. It's different than being a selectman in the executive session. The executive session only means you're going to vote,
Okay.
as opposed to a closed session in the select board meetings. So, which sort of got me confused, because in education and being a selectman, the executive, no one can be in the room.
Right.
And in this venue, there may be a myriad of people in that room as you're voting. And there may be questions of people sitting in the room as non-members of that committee. The vote is taken. You cannot abstain. If you're in the room, you are there to vote. And I'll go on that in a moment. So after that, that bill may go to another committee. For example, if it is a money issue, that would go to the Finance Committee. Or if there was something else in that bill that would go to another committee for acceptance, it would go there.
Okay.
From there, it goes to the floor of the House. And at that point, you have a little, well, there's people speaking for or against that bill. For example, in my committee, there'd be a representative that voted for that bill that would speak before the House in the chamber. And conversely, if someone had voted against and would like to speak, they would do that. And each bill would have the number of affirmative and also the number of negative votes. It does not go on party lines. It is straight on the committee, what the committee recommends. From that point, then, the speaker would call for the vote. You have 30 seconds to vote. We have a little box in front of us that is yes, no, and it also has your seat number. And you cannot abstain. And you vote, and then up on the screen, after the 30 seconds, they were talking about having it as a rolling tally, but it's after the vote will come up on the screen. It's either passed or not passed. Then it may go to the Senate, and the Senate would then review that bill, put any amendments, and so forth. And that's the procedure. Then, if the Senate approves, it then goes to the governor for acceptance or a veto. That's pretty much the procedure for a bill. I know the show that you're talking about on TV as a youth, and it's pretty much the same as you'd see in Congress.
Now, the general participation in this, general residential participation,
Sure.
It doesn't even have to be residential, and correct me here where I'm wrong, is if we know there's going to be a committee hearing, and I know a lot of people who are watching this
Sure.
have been up and testified.
Sure.
When you walk into that committee hearing, you sign a piece of paper letting the chair know that you would like to speak.
Right.
You speak to that bill. Is it similar then when you get to the floor? You'll have a representative from your committee speaking, but who gets to speak on the floor of the House?
Only the representatives.
Only the representatives.
There's no one from the gallery or that would speak, because this is the House vote.
Right.
And the time was in the committee hearing room, and it's just a pink card.
Yep.
And you may have testified, and your name and how long you want to speak.
Right.
Also on the bottom of that. Right. So that's something the chairs look at. So
Depending on the hearing,
Right.
they'll look at that and say, I'm not going to grant you 15 minutes to speak.
right, you have. I will, and I'm vacillating, but our committee chair, MIT grad, great lady, sharp, and gavels do come down. And I've got to admit that the gavel has come down on me, questioning a person testifying, and her words were, "You're not to argue with the person testifying." But
Okay.
and And my question, I thought, was great. But because statements are made, and we're not to argue whether that person is truthful in their statement. And maybe I get to that point,
Yeah.
you know, being a former selectman and board member, that people that come up, you ask them, you know, to really justify what their statement is. And we can't do that in the House. So.
Henry, very interesting. Me personally, I could spend the rest of the day talking to you about the inner machinations in Concord.
And he usually does.
And I usually do, and I'm happy to do that because what you do, in all seriousness, what you do affects Northampton. So as a resident, I'd like to thank you for having the courage and the bravery to sign your name to that piece of paper, for putting yourself out there, also for having the temerity to go up to Concord and speak your mind, speak your morals, put Northampton right out there and do what's best for us. So I want to thank you.
I want to thank you.
I also want to thank you, too, for everything that you do for Winnacunnet and everything you do for the University of New Hampshire.
Right.
So I could thank you for, I guess, another half an hour, but I think the director is probably going to ask me to wrap up a little bit.
I think so. And I think we'll stand beside the 275th.
Oh, we're going to have to wait because we're wrapped up to our mics right now. So
That's right.
So what we'll do is we'll go to some community notes.
Sure.
And I want to thank you. I want to thank all of our guests who have appeared. And we'll come back after these community notes. Once again, I'd like to thank our guests. We had co-chairs of the Northampton 275th Anniversary Committee, Vicki Jones, Nancy Jane Luff, we had Police Officer Asa Johnson, and we had Representative Henry Marsh. Thank you so much, and we'll see you next time on Atlantic Ave.